Talked about that conflict in the Middle East. I was kind of jumping the gun to get right to it. We have the from Emory's Department of the Middle Eastern and South Asian Studies. Professor, welcome back to the show with us. Let's talk about this ceasefire, this back and forth that seems to be going on. President Trump seems to be faltered within the hour. Every hour it seems to be like, okay, it's on, then it's off again. How credible are this truce?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. Look, I mean, the big news was Trump, the United States dropping these bombs on Fordo and the other major nuclear sites, and Iran felt the need to respond. Now, it could have responded in lots of different ways. A lot of people thought it was going to respond by shooting rockets at American bases in the Middle East. It did so, but it only shot a few rockets, and it even let America and Qatar and the neighboring countries know that these rockets were coming. So this wasn't meant to actually cause damage, and that was a sign that Iran wanted the situation to de-escalate.
Wow. What conditions?
Signs that,
oh, I'm sorry.
that Trump did as well. So the fact that multiple sides want this to de-escalate means that even though things are on very shaky ground, there's definitely a prospect for longer quiet.
So what conditions would be needed to make it stable? Would it be considered stable?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's signs that Israel wants a longer-term ceasefire out of this. There's only so much more that can be done by bombing at this point. Look, this was a major short-term victory for Israel and the United States. The question is the long-term capabilities of Iran. Its nuclear program are continuing, so you're going to need a diplomatic solution to fully get rid of that. The question is, are the three sides going to be on the same page? And our president is quite unpredictable. So we'll see what happens on that front.
You're right about that. How did our involvement, getting involved in this, alter the dynamics of the conflict?
Yeah, well, Israel launched a successful initial strikes, but Israeli bombs could not get to the heart of Iran's nuclear program. So whether through diplomacy or through using B-2 bombers to strike at these underground facilities, Israel needed American involvement to really make a serious dent in the program. Now, America dropped those bombs on these deep underground enrichment facilities. We don't know how much of these facilities have been damaged. We don't know how much was smuggled out, but we're talking about at least setting back the program a year. And that puts Israel in a position where it's more comfortable with the ceasefire than it would have been otherwise.
Give us a sense of some of the other nations in this region and how they feel, and could another country pick a side and get involved?
Yeah, I think everyone really wants to stand back. This is a very fragile situation. The good news is that multiple sides want to de-escalate. There's lots of apprehension, though. Look, America has bases, as anyone who has family in the military knows, America has bases in most of the countries in the region. Rockets were shot at a major U.S. base with 10,000 troops in Qatar. So there's lots of apprehension. What if one of these rockets hits civilian population in these countries? Will they get drawn in? Or the fact that they're hosting bases, is that going to be something that these countries are questioning, given American involvement in the region and the fact that that could turn things into targets? Look, things didn't go so badly thus far for American troops in the region. No one's been hurt. Let's just hope it'll stay that way.
How much more narrow is the window for diplomacy now?
I think there's a pretty long window. I think the question is, if things don't fall apart within the next number of hours, look, it's in everyone's interest for this quiet to last. Israel can only make so much more progress without a ground invasion, and America has no appetite for a ground invasion. Iran, if Iran was really going to do something, it would have done more than just shoot a handful of rockets. The Israeli people have been under bombardment, the Iranian people have been under bombardment. There's only so much that can really come of this. So I think the window is pretty big, but the question is what the President of the United States does with that window.
Dr. Levin, if you were at the negotiating table, how would you resolve this crisis?
Well, that's quite a question. I'd really take advantage of the fact that multiple sides here want to de-escalate. Iran is going to want to continue having at least civilian nuclear capabilities in terms of getting power plants. Israel doesn't want that. So the American leadership needs to find a way to sort of square that circle. And we've seen within the administration some who want to allow some limited capabilities. And I think trying to find a compromise, not totally giving one side or the other a victory, that's going to be the path forward, because you don't want to, no one wants to be humiliated. Iran's been humiliated quite a bit through this, and giving them some way of preserving their dignity, even though they've clearly shown that they have diminished capabilities, is going to be an important part of this.
All right, Dr. Geoffrey Levin with Emory University, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you being on.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon as well.